Thank you, Marty Jones. Thank you, Pam Coker, and many thanks to all the members and directors of the Boston Municipal Research Bureau. I'd like to acknowledge the elected officials attending virtually today, including members of the state legislature and the Boston City Council. I would especially like to acknowledge and thank Mayor Marty Walsh, who is joining us today. He has been a great partner in ensuring a smooth transition, and he will be a great leader for working people across our country as the United States Secretary of Labor. I want to thank everyone for being here. I am grateful for the opportunity to address leaders across every sector of our city as we prepare to begin Boston's next chapter together. I want to start by recognizing the 2020 Shattuck Award recipients. Congratulations to this year's honorees. From creating new programs to care for our residents, to developing new ways to improve our operations, your extraordinary service is inspiring. I am thankful for the service of every talented and dedicated city employee. It is not said nearly enough, but the public servants who wake up every day to make Boston work, especially during these challenging times, are owed a great debt of gratitude from all of us. Soon, I will have the honor of taking the oath of office as the 55th Mayor of Boston. Today, I'd like to lay out what I see as some of the opportunities before us as a city. Boston is the city that I love, the city that nurtured me. My life experiences have always guided my work on behalf of the people, organizations, and businesses that call Boston home. I was born into a family with deep roots in the South End and 6 generations in Roxbury, the center of our great city. I come from a long line of proud entrepreneurs, the lifeblood of Boston's economy. My family and my community supported and guided me from an early age, shaping my love and my view of our city. But when I was just 11 years old, I was forced out onto the front lines of the battle to desegregate Boston public schools. I grew up quickly, becoming a mother in high school. I worked multiple jobs and attended Smith College to give my daughter everything she needed to succeed. As I juggled it all, like so many others, I felt my first call to give back to the city I love. I was inspired as a young mother to start working on behalf of all children because I understood my own daughter's experiences were interconnected with those of every child across the city. As a part of Massachusetts Advocates for Children, I led efforts to make lasting reforms that promote equity and excellence in education for students in Boston public schools. I worked not only with parents, educators, students, and administrators, but with business leaders who had an economic stake in the success of all children. Together, we pushed to close achievement gaps and open opportunities so all children can thrive and grow to be the innovators of tomorrow. That work, advocating for better local schools, fueled my interest in local government. In 2017, I ran for and won a seat on the Boston City Council. I became the first woman to represent District 7, located in the heart of our city. 2 years later, my peers on the council elected me president of the most diverse city council in Boston's history. And working with my colleagues and with the Walsh administration, we've advanced city policy and city budgets to deliver a better Boston for all. Soon, my journey and Boston's journey will take one more step forward as I become the first woman and first Black mayor in our city's history. I am living proof that Boston is a city of possibilities. As a student and then as a parent, as an organizer and an advocate, as a district councilor and as council president, and soon as mayor, it has been and is my honor and privilege to live, work, and lead in the city that I love. Today, while we continue to face real structural barriers to fulfilling our true potential, I firmly believe that our best days are ahead. This moment in our city's history is a time of opportunity and obligation. The COVID-19 pandemic has tested our strength and expose the challenges and the disparities we have long faced as a community. We must not turn away from tackling these longer-term challenges, from public schools to public health, from public transit to public safety. Instead, we must build together the more equitable, more just, more vibrant city we all dream Boston can be. As I continue to lead as City Council President, I am also looking ahead. For over 6 weeks, I have been deeply engaged in a transition process with the Walsh administration. Mayor Walsh and I are both committed to a seamless transfer of power that maintains excellence in city operations and services. I have held over 40 briefings with cabinet chiefs, department heads, and staff on all aspects of city government, from public safety to our parks, from our schools to snowstorm response. I have also met with Governor Baker and spoken with Senate President Spilka and Speaker of the House Mariano and many other mayors from neighboring communities. Just yesterday, I took part in a convening of the Metro Mayors Coalition to ensure we are all working together closely. I am fully engaged in the city's COVID-19 response strategy. I've been in regular communication with Marty Martinez, the Chief of Health and Human Services, and we've held dedicated meetings about the vaccine rollout and visited testing and vaccination sites together all across Boston. And as we prepare for the FY22 budget, I have been meeting frequently with Emma Handy, the city's CFO, and Budget Director Justin Sterrett to start the budget process of crafting a responsible and forward-looking budget for Boston. I have also formed a transition committee with several issue-specific subcommittees made up of leaders in government, business, labor, nonprofit, academia, the arts, and the sciences. More than 160 leaders have lent their networks, advice, and recommendations on a range of policy areas. My transition committee is led by honorary co-chairs, the only 2 women of color who are leading cities in this Commonwealth, Mayor Spicer of Framingham and Mayor Siddiqui of Cambridge. I also want to acknowledge the co-chairs of the committee. Kate Walsh, the President and CEO of Boston Medical Center, Steve Grossman, the CEO of the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City, Betty Francisco, the General Counsel at Compass Working Capital and co-founder of Amplify Latinx, Linda Dorsina Forey, Vice President of Suffolk Construction, and Quincy Miller, Vice Chair and President of Eastern Bank. I want to thank all who have been so deeply involved in this process. I am eager, excited, and ready to lead our great city as the 55th Mayor of Boston. I'd like to recognize the City Hall staff and Transition Committee members attending today's annual meeting. Together, we are setting policy and budget priorities that reflect our values with a focus on recovery, reopening, and renewal. We are charting a course to recover from COVID-19, reopen our businesses, and renew our commitment to a stronger, more equitable Boston for all. Our recovery starts with protecting residents' health and preventing the further spread of COVID-19. We have lost 1,287 Bostonians to this pandemic. We grieve their loss, and our hearts go out to their families. This pandemic has impacted every single one of us. There are signs of hope as more people receive the vaccine, but we must remain vigilant, following the public health guidance that we know slows the spread. It's worth repeating what helps to keep us safe: washing our hands, wearing our masks, maintaining social distance, avoiding gatherings, and getting tested. We also know COVID-19 has disproportionately impacted communities of color. For example, while 20% of Boston residents are Hispanic or Latino, this community has experienced more than 30% of COVID cases in the city. And Black residents have a higher death rate due to COVID-19 than any other population in Boston. patterns of disproportionate impact cannot persist. As we roll out vaccines, we are actively developing programs to deliver them more equitably. We are leveraging community-based organizations to ensure eligible populations and the hardest-hit communities can book appointments close to home. And we are creating dedicated clinics for vaccinating teachers and other essential workers. 2 weeks ago, I was able to visit the mass vaccination clinic at the Reggie Lewis Center, which is managed by CIC Health. This public-private partnership has played a powerful role in accelerating vaccine distribution and ensuring communities of color aren't left behind in this life-saving effort. For residents who can't come to vaccination sites, we will meet people where they are with mobile vaccination clinics. Last week, my staff and I spent the afternoon at one of these clinics at the MLK Towers, a home for seniors in Roxbury. While many residents came down for their shot, some were still concerned about the vaccine. They had unanswered questions. I personally had the opportunity to speak with one of those concerned seniors whose door I knocked upon. After a long conversation with her, she finally decided to get the shot. It was a reminder to me that even with the information we will provide, with the programs we will run, and with the promotion we will do, it will require personal connections and trust for many of our friends and family and community members to decide that getting the vaccine is the right choice for them. Controlling the COVID-19 pandemic is a moral and financial necessity. Our public health recovery is essential for our economic recovery. As we reopen our city, we will address immediate needs and lay the foundation for a more equitable, vibrant Boston. That means working with every entrepreneur and employer in the city. We've already gotten started with capital investment and outdoor dining programs for our restaurants. We will do even more in the months ahead. Our priorities include continuing to improve the permitting process. We will also provide technical assistance to Main Street businesses struggling to bridge the digital divide with their customers. We will design additional programs in the months ahead for and with you. Reopening our city also means supporting the people who make our city run. From day one of this pandemic, essential workers have been on the front lines, keeping hospitals open, store shelves stocked, and buses running, while we work to understand the virus and provide the protections to keep workers safe. Other residents of our city found themselves without employment at all. Restaurant staff, hotel workers, and many others were locked out when the world locked down. We need to get Boston back to work. I am committed to placing workers at the center of our reopening plans. Working together with the business community and organized labor, I know Boston is a city that can ensure every worker receives fair treatment, fair wages, and the training they need to fill the jobs of our emerging industries. The past year has also left at-home workers wanting more collaboration with colleagues. Many are ready and want to return. I've met with MBTA General Manager Steve Poftak and reinforced the importance of frequent transit service for all employees as we responsibly reopen public venues and private offices. Our work must also prioritize the future workforce. That starts with our schools. Nothing is more important to our present or our future than an excellent school system. Reopening our communities must also include getting our students and teachers safely back into their classrooms. Teachers like my sister Tarisha Janey, who is celebrating 20 years as a teacher at the Murphy School in Dorchester and is also celebrating her birthday today. Reopening means following the science and public health protocols that keep our schools safe. I want to take this opportunity to thank our school leaders, teachers, custodians, bus drivers, and staff. I also want to thank Superintendent Caselius for her leadership of our district. Together, we will make sure our schools are places where every child can learn, grow, and flourish. We have been battling the COVID-19 pandemic for more than a year. The fight has taken a painful toll on all our residents and our institutions. We need renewal and healing as individuals in our neighborhoods as well as in our business community. Renewal includes a focus on housing, which gives our families and our economy the stability it needs. Already, under the leadership of Sheila Dillon, the city's chief of housing, there is significant progress on both affordable housing production and eviction prevention. As these efforts continue, we must also increase middle-income housing across the city so more working families can afford to stay in the city they love. As mayor, I will lead the implementation of measures to prevent displacement and expand housing opportunities for families of every income in all of our neighborhoods. Healing includes beginning to address the trauma of the dual devastation of COVID-19 and the reckoning of racial injustice by tapping into our collective joy. The joy that only a vibrant city can provide. The joy found in new parks and reopened libraries, at parades and public art installations, and busy plazas on bustling main streets. As we reopen, we can't settle for going back. We must go better. Let's put equity first and welcome new voices. Together, let's continue to make progress on the most urgent issues facing our city, confronting systemic racism and the health and wealth gaps it creates, tackling climate change and increasing climate resiliency, and living our values in government operations. To make these possibilities a reality will take all of us. In the coming weeks and months, there will be exciting opportunities for you and your organizations to join me in leading Boston's recovery, reopening, and renewal. First among these is expanding opportunities for entrepreneurs of color, giving small business owners a fair shot at providing the products and services organizations need. As mayor, I intend to lead by example with new programs to boost city contracts with minority business enterprises and new targets to hold ourselves accountable. I ask you to join me in committing to more equitable procurement policies and practices in your own organizations. The possibilities don't end there. I want to hear from you, the leaders of our business community. Share your best ideas for a post-COVID Boston. Let me know how the city can help with training, grants, or other supports. From hiring city youth for summer jobs to reinforcing public health efforts that encourage vaccination, we can make progress together. We stand at this moment together in Boston's history in a position of strength. We are a global hub of innovation for the life science, medical, and research sectors. We have wonderful neighborhoods to call home. We have institutions in higher ed and healthcare, in finance and consulting, in the arts and technology that are setting the standards in their fields. We have a municipal government that has guided us through a global pandemic and sustained a AAA bond rating throughout. And our most important asset, the people of Boston. We are a diverse community, dynamic and resilient, driving Boston forward. Boston has always been a city of possibilities. COVID-19 has reminded us that our entire community is connected. When we do what is right for those who are left out, when we create shared goals and shared solutions, everyone is better off. Now is the time to move Boston forward together. I look forward to working with you in the months and years ahead to rebuild an even more equitable, healthy, and vibrant city. Thank you, and God bless the city of Boston.